It's so good to finally be saying that I'm at the final stage of this repaint, but there's still one small thing. I need to rub all these panels down one last time. Apart from this time, I am going to be getting through a lot of wet flat paper, and I'm going to be using a lot of water. And although there is a ton of this to do with having to rub down all the panels once again, wet flatting I find to be quite therapeutic. It can just be really messy. My feet are absolutely soaking. And not forgetting how many times you have to keep topping up your water bottle, but these spray bottles really do come in handy. As I rub down the panels, I wash them down as I go, making sure that I'm not missing any of the black guide coat, which is an indicator to let me know that the panel is fully prepped, ready for paint. And then once I've done the same on all the other panels, I get them in the spray booth to clean them down and to mask them all out. Nice. I then gave all the panels one final clean down using some waterborne and some solvent degreaser. I then tacked them off using a tack rag just to remove any remaining dust. Which just leaves me with one last thing to do. To get all these panels in paint. And to start out with, I'm laying down the base coat, which I've done in 3 full coats, including a drop coat as well. I've done all of the edges first, and to be honest, the most important thing about waterborne base coat is making sure that it is fully cured before applying the next coat. But with a nice warm spray booth and a lot of air movement, waterborne base coat does dry out by itself pretty quickly anyway. And as you can see, although this is the first coat, it might look like it covers quite well, but actually, being Estoril Blue, it was quite transparent. And the reason for applying 3 full coats, which is pretty standard I'd say, and to do any job using waterborne base coat in 2 full coats, yeah, you're doing pretty well. It's going to be a good colour for coverage. But the most important thing is that the base coat goes on nice and it lays down nice and smooth. I then sealed up the base coat with my lacquer, and I'd done this in 2.5 coats. I made a start on the wings first as they were at the back of the spray booth, and then worked my way forward with doing the quarter panels next and then the doors, and this is going to really help keep all that overspray down. And just as I did using the base coat, I've done all of my edges first with the lacquer. Now in between each coat, I gave each coat around 20 to 30 minutes to flash off, and the booth temperature was sat at around 22 degrees, but how I really tell is I go in the spray booth, just put my finger on a wet piece of lacquer on one of the panel stands, and if it's tacky, I know I'm ready for the next coat. And although the TDS sheet doesn't tell you to do that, it's an old school technique that I've used for a long time, and trust me, it works. And there is always such a fine line when lacquering, because if you get it too wet, it's obviously going to run, and if you put it on too dry, it's just going to look terrible. One thing I've always been told is that you're always a perfect paint job away from getting a run. If there's one thing I could do, I wish I could show all of you guys watching this how good these panels are looking in person, because oh my god, these look so good. And all those hours done and gone just like that, and it definitely shows these are all looking seriously good. I am so happy with how well these have come out. And to think, I haven't even touched these with a polisher yet. They're still all to be polished, and they're facing this way round in the spray booth because they have had a bake. I put them this way round because the heat in our spray booth comes out here, travels through the spray booth, and I just wanted the fascia of these panels to catch as much heat as possible, and they're still looking seriously good. I mean, look at how nice these are looking. Bloody nice. With the sun out and it also being the nicest day of the year so far, I just had to make the most of it and show you what this paintwork looks like outside. And it also gives you a better idea of how glossy it is as well. All that rubbing down now paid off, and to think these panels still need polishing yet, this is going to seriously be one shiny BMW Z3M once it's back together. And although these panels are painted and yeah, they do look really good, the one thing I'm probably regretting now is not painting the tailgate in with these, because it would have been done and I could move on to the next step. But the thing is I just don't like loading up the spray booths too much with too many panels, because the more overspray there is in the spray booth, the more likely you are to get dust nibs and dust particles land in the paint. And yeah, I mean, these have come out really clean. So I'm on the fence about it a little bit, but I'm now gonna have to get back in the spray booth to paint the tailgate so I can get it fitted, as Paul from Total Windscreens is coming out this Friday to stick the front and rear screen back in. And I've also got to get the roof lining put in before he comes out as well, which is actually up in the roof over there. And if I'm honest, I'm not really sure how I'm going to do this because Rob's not here to give me a hand. Roof linings, or this roof line, is like a cardboard material, and I've got to try and get that down from up there without bending it by myself. If you've ever had to remove a roof lining from a car before, you will know exactly how easy it is to bend one of these things. Right. Let alone trying to do this by yourself with trying to get this roof lining down from above this roof stood on a step ladder. Oh no. Oh yeah. And this was actually a lot harder than it really looks. So I just took my time and I was extra cautious. Please don't bend. And somehow, without falling off the step ladder, I got there eventually. Oh, look at that. And now, I just had to get the roof lining fed back through the car so I could fix it back up in place, whilst trying not to bend it at the same time. And then I just couldn't believe it. This happened. The roof lining was back in place and I clipped it up in the middle just to hold it up for the time being, which means I can now get on with fixing all this back in place. And I started out by putting the visors back in the front to hold the front up. And then put the two clips in the back of the roof lining to hold the back of it up. Put the grab handle blanks back in the driver's side and the grab handle back in the passenger side. Screwed in the coat hanger hooks in the back. And then finally, clipped in both rear speaker covers. Alright, so that wasn't that bad to do, but at least it is now back in. Paul can come out to put the front screen back in, he's coming out tomorrow. The rear screen can go back in because the tailgate is now back on, gapped up, and it also closes nicely by itself as well. And all it leaves me now to do really is to get the rest of this interior back in, other than getting all the panels on obviously, but I want to get the rest of this interior back in next. I don't really want to tackle that until Paul has put the front screen in, just in case the roof lining needs dropping for whatever reason. I'm 100% sure it is there, but I'm not touching that interior until that front screen is back in. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. If you have, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you all in the next one. Oh, why am I trying to do this by myself?